Hello, my name is Bill Hemphill, and among other things, I am a retired Air Force Major, hence Major Bill. In the military, we send our new recruits through basic training or boot camp to give them some basic understanding and indoctrination before sending them on to specialty schools. The purpose of this and the other 4 presentations is to give you the basics, not to make you experts. Rather, these presentations are designed to give you a glimpse into the world of government contracting and the adversarial nature of this world. Quite frankly, after over 2 decades of dealing with the federal government, I still find myself surprised by some of the things that the government comes up with. Contract administration is a situational discipline, and a great deal of the regulations' interpretation is dependent upon a firm's ownership, product or services, market, path to market, and a number of other variables. So what you will get in these 5 chapters is a, quote, 35,000-foot view, unquote. If you have company-specific questions, please feel free to contact me directly. While the 5 presentations were developed in sequence and build upon the prior training, they can be viewed out of sequence if you wish. Here you can see some of my bona fides and a rationale for why you might want to spend your valuable time finishing this presentation. While you're looking over this list, let me give you a mission statement for contract administration that applies to all business types, locations, or sizes. Our function is to mitigate risk for the firm while expanding business, and toward that end we can never stop learning, reading, and thinking about federal procurement. Now on to the next slide. Let's start with a basic description of 3 major differences between commercial and government contracting. Government contracting is applicable to the federal government when the term government is capitalized. Government contracting is more highly regulated, has the contract as the end of negotiations, and presumes that the contractor is totally knowledgeable of all the items to which they have agreed. Let's examine more closely this last statement. If you receive a solicitation with 5 pages of FAR, Federal Acquisition Regulation clauses, included by reference, and submit a proposal without any exceptions, the government has the presumption that an award can be made without any further discussion, and that you can be held accountable for all of the terms of the solicitation. This is why every firm, large or small, needs to have access to a contracts professional on staff through outside legal counsel or a consultant to mitigate the risk of not being able to perform to the government's expectation and getting penalized as a result. Government solicitations follow a standard structure as described at FAR 14.201, and the resulting contracts follow the same format with some exceptions that will be noted as described at FAR 15.204. In the federal procurement process, contracting officers, KOs, prepare invitations for bids, requests for proposals, and government contracts according to a uniform contract format whenever practicable. Contractors hoping to do business with the federal government should be familiar with the uniform contract format so they can quickly locate important information included therein. The uniform contract format organizes information in 4 parts. Part 1, the schedule, consists of sections A through H. Part 2, contract clauses, consists of only section I. Part 3, list of documents, exhibits, and other attachments, consists of section J. And Part 4, representations and instructions, consists of sections K through M. Each of these parts contains important information necessary to the preparation of a bid or proposal and performing the contract. Part 1, schedule, contains the basic bid element and the necessary technical requirements to perform the work being solicited. Section A contains the forms that contain the offer's proposed pricing and the government's acknowledgement of award. Sections B and C contain the description and specifications of the subject of the procurement. Understanding this information is crucial to preparing an appropriate and compliant bid or proposal. Section D contains the necessary packaging requirements. If the items are being procured require special packaging or preservation to include certain types of labeling, or to include the use of radio frequency identification, or RFID, for inventory control. The importance of this section is that proper marking and packaging is a prerequisite for order acceptance and subsequent contractor payment. After all, we all do want to get paid, right? Section E states where the location of the goods are to be delivered, or inspected, or accepted by the government, and whether it will be at a contractor location, with inspection being performed by Defense Contract Management Agency, DCMA, or at the destination site. It will also state the required acceptance documentation. This is important because the goods and services must be accepted by the government before the contractor can get paid. Section F states when the date of delivery is to be effected, when the supplies and services are to be delivered. This serves as the delivery schedule under the contract. Further, it also states where the contract work is to be performed. Section G provides the accounting data and identifies the government officials assigned to provide contract administration. This is usually the contracting officer, or KO, or the contracting officer's representative, COR. Regardless of who is identified, remember that only the KO can commit the government, and that commitment must be in writing. Section H contains any special contract requirements based on the location or agency, and this section is determined by the contracting officer. This is the first location where FAR or agency-specific FAR supplement clauses can be listed and therefore included by reference. And it is the contractor's duty to research and understand what is the impact of each clause listed. Part 2, Contract Clauses, Section I, includes the required and applicable contract clauses. Although this list may appear daunting, the contractor must be familiar with this section to ensure proper performance of the contract. Usually this is a list of included by reference clause identifiers. However, some clauses may be identified by whole text as well, particularly if they are seldom used or are unique to the federal agency. Part 3, Lists of documents and exhibits and other attachments. Section J contains the necessary supplementary documents required to perform the contract. This could include technical specifications included by reference and other performance criteria. Additionally, within the section contains a list of contract deliverable items and when they are due to the government. Part 4, the representations and instructions to the offerer, and is one of the most important sections of the solicitation. Within this section, 2 sections are the most important, and if they are not followed, can serve as grounds for a proposal to not be selected for award or even considered. Section K contains provisions requiring contractor representations and certifications. Usually this section is not relevant if the contractor has current data contained in ORCA or the Online Representations and Certifications application under SAM. The next 2 sections are critical in the submission process and should have great attention given to them during the proposal process. These 2 sections tell the offerer how the government wants the proposal put together and how they are going to evaluate or grade your proposal against the competition. Section L includes other information necessary to prepare a responsive bid or proposal. KOs have the power to reject bids or proposals not prepared and submitted exactly as directed in the invitation for bids or request for proposals as being non-responsive. This contains style guidance including margin size, font and pitch, plus page count. Usually this identifies 3 proposal volumes: pricing, technical, and management, and gives specific directions for each volume. Section M includes the evaluation criteria. The contractor should pay special attention to this information because understanding the factors the government will rely on in evaluating bids or proposals will help the contractor prepare an appropriate bid or proposal. This will tell the contractor whether the agency is looking for best value or best commodity pricing. Sections L and M are generally left out of the award package because the selection has already been made, but sometimes are included by reference. The federal government uses standard formats, as just discussed, to allow for consistency of practice among the various agencies and to make the procurement process much easier for both the government and the offerers. The standard forms prefaced by SF that we are to discuss are those that are most commonly used. The SF-1449 and SF-33 are used for the solicitation and contract award, and the SF-30 is used for modifications to contracts or amendments to solicitations as a normal practice. In all cases, these forms are the only documents the government uses to commit funds and memorialize contract changes, and it is necessary when required by the contracting officer for the contractor to sign these documents. Without the signature, there is no agreed-to contract action, and these documents are required to be within the contract file. For this chapter, here are some rookie mistakes. Ignoring DPAS can result in financial penalties, and if it is deemed flagrant, suspension or debarment. Remember that there is a reason the government wants to prioritize this order. DPAS is usually identified on the cover sheet, referred to in the previous slide as the SF-1449, SF-33, or SF-30. There is an adage in government contracting that ignorance is no defense, meaning that if a contractor agrees to a clause by not taking exception, the government has every expectation that the contractor in question can and will perform to the requirements of that clause. The only point in time when a contractor can raise a regulatory compliance issue is in the proposal, because once issued, the award memorializes the end of negotiations. Lastly, do not accept verbal direction from anyone on the KO's team, even the KO. Request that any envisioned modification be evaluated and memorialized for all to see in an SF-30. Otherwise, if the price goes up, you may not be able to recover the increase, or if the schedule stretches out, you may find yourself punished for not meeting the original schedule. You will find that government contracting is loaded with acronyms, and here are some that we cover today either in the slides or narrative. I strongly recommend that you jot these down, as you might need them in the future. The more knowledgeable you come across to the government, the more credibility you will have in negotiations, and the less likely that the government will force their contract desires on your firm. Finally, here's how you can reach me if you have any questions or need additional support. Thank you for your attention and have a great day.